we bring out our friend, Tom Muphy, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Now, Tom is too good of a person to voice disapproval or say someone that he doesn't like or anything. But, Tom, I want to ask you about this dynamic with Dave Van Horn and Tony Vitello this weekend. Everyone remembers the dust-up from a few years ago. What do you think that relationship is actually like behind the scenes, in your opinion?
Well, good morning, guys. Always a pleasure. I do think it's improved, and that's what Tony was talking about this week, that especially from his end, there's a lot of respect, and it's improved. And Dave made it a point to reach out to Tony after he won the national championship to congratulate him. And, of course, Tony has been very respectful and, very appreciative of all the things Dave Van Horn has done. I got along great with Tony while he was here. And after that dust-up, Tony actually reached out and called to talk to Bob because, Bob had been around so long to kind of explain his side of things. Mm-hmm. So I'm a Tony Vitello fan. Basically, I don't like how much his team chirps and gets into situations, and you saw that even after the Sunday game against Vanderbilt last weekend, where the players are a little bit confrontational, and and I know Vanderbilt was a part of that too. But anyway, that's what I would say about Tony and his program. He certainly knows how to coach and recruit and do all those things, and he's pretty outspoken on a lot of different topics. So I think he's good for the game.
You think tempers flare up at all this weekend? Not necessarily between the two coaches, but you kind of mentioned the track record with Tennessee this year. They've had a few of those escalations of sorts. Do we see something like that this weekend, Tom?
I don't think so. In fact, Dave says, look, we talked to our team about what we need to do. Mm-hmm. The other team is chirping. Just go out there and do your job, try to win the game, try to win it at bat, and that kind of thing. That's one of the things I think Arkansas fans appreciate about Dave is that his team typically, respects the game, doesn't get into those kind of things. Now, Peyton Holt would slide into third base and be very demonstrative about it. And sometimes the other team takes exception to that thing, but it's usually from the Arkansas side, it's not usually directed at the other dugout.
Yeah.
And I think that's occurred in some other instances in the SEC.
I was told by someone I trust that Dave Van Horn was not a fan of some of he loved Peyton as a player and as a person, but those antics occasionally would get on his nerves every once in a while, which makes sense. Tom Muphy, our guest, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. He joins us every single Thursday. Tom, outside of what we've got this weekend, the big baseball story is the possibility of Pete Rose and the Black Sox being eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Does it happen? Do you see Pete Rose after his death? Do you see him being instituted in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, me and my guys on my Braves thread had a chat about this, and I wish it had happened while he was still alive, so he would have known that it happened. What he did, betting on baseball, not cool. But I also think he was a pariah for so long that if they had reinstated him before he died, it would have been a nice gesture. The thing is, he has to be voted on by, I think, the Veterans Committee. And you got a bunch of old-time, hard-line guys on that, so I think it makes it harder for him. I hope he gets in. And honestly, I was mad at Barry Bonds because I felt like he thought the youngsters were cheating the game, and then he did the same thing, And, I mean, you can't make up what happened to his head and all that, the size of his biceps. And Mark McGwire. At some point, I'd like to see them in, even if it's just to recognize their exploits, because Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were great players before any steroids situation. So I would like to see Pete Rose get in, yes.
Tom, back to college baseball. What do you think shakes out this weekend in terms of Texas going to Oklahoma? That's the one you're keeping an eye on if you're an Arkansas fan, with the possibility of being the number one seed in the Southeastern Conference. You look at some other matchups that have something to do with your seeding. Georgia and Texas A&M. LSU travels to South Carolina. What seed do you anticipate Arkansas getting next week for the SEC tournament?
Yeah, that's a great question. I anticipate a split in the Oklahoma-Texas series. Now, if it goes 2-1 in favor of Oklahoma, Arkansas has a chance if they sweep.
Yep.
But as things stand right now, Liam Doyle will be pitching the second game, and that's a TBA for Arkansas because they want to keep Gage Wood on his normal rest. So for Arkansas to sweep would take a monumental effort. They had the crowd behind them in the Texas series, and it all came together, and they rallied from behind twice in Game 3, and they swept the series. Yeah, they could do that again. And with Doyle, I was watching their game against Vanderbilt, the opener last weekend, and he developed some kind of a blister or something where his hand was bleeding. It was on like one of the pads of his fingers. So that's the kind of thing. I'm not sure what the heal-up time and how much stress and pressure he puts on that point in his delivery. But that could be, and he threw 100 pitches in that game and stayed in after they knew it was bleeding. So I don't know if it's something that problematic. But they kept him on his normal rest, just as Arkansas is doing with Gage Wood. So to me, that gives Arkansas the edge tonight. But for them to sweep would be tough. And look, South Carolina has been, they've given up a ton of runs. Their pitching clearly isn't on the level of most SEC teams. And the way LSU is playing right now, wouldn't be shocked if they swept. So, Arkansas's got to, win 2 out of 3 just to stay even with LSU. And if they tie, obviously LSU has the high tiebreaker. So could be second, could be third. And then if they somehow pull off a sweep and Texas loses 2 of 3, then they would get number 1.
It could pan out like that. Tom, we're in the midst of baseball season. We're at the tail end of the regular season final weekend. We've got, I think, 107 days till Arkansas's inaugural game against Alabama A&M in Fayetteville, and then I believe it's 112 till the opening of the National Football League. NFL schedule came out. You got my dad just sent me this text. You got a good Thanksgiving slate. I know he's really excited about that. He texts us. He goes, food, family, and football. Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens. But I wanted to ask you about the Falcons schedule release. Did you see what they did with Jennifer Hudson and Bill Belichick and their schedule release? Jordan Hudson, not Jennifer. Jeez. Jordan Hudson, their schedule release?
I did not see it.
You need when we get done talking. So they've got is it Minecraft 2, Colton? With what they did, or just
I haven't seen it either.
They've got a picture or little anime of Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick and a sign that says, "We are not talking about this." So when we get done talking, you need to jump on there and look at that. But NFL-wise, was there any matchup? I know people paying attention to Chiefs hosting the Eagles week 2. You got Chiefs and Cowboys opening that weekend Sunday Night Football. Any matchups in the National Football League that you're excited about here in a few months?
It takes me a little while to warm up, not just seeing what the schedule looks like. I mean, Eagles and Cowboys in week 1, that's wonderful. Here's how excited I am about the direction my Falcons are going. And I also found out today that they're one of the top 5 salaries in the NFL. And I know a lot of that is Kirk Cousins, but it kind of sickens me that we've been a below 500 team and have a top 5 salary. But here's how excited I am about our future. I didn't even look at their schedule yet. I don't know who we play and when. I know we play in Germany or we play one of the European games, but I'm not that fired up, man.
Tom's not the optimistic Falcons fan with this team right now. Well, Tom, I'm going to be honest. I thought you were going to talk about Michael Penix and the rest of that team and everyone else and how jazzed you. I did not expect that answer. So we'll leave it there this morning. Hopefully there's some excitement that comes out of Baum-Walker Stadium this weekend. We'll chat about it on Tuesday.
Sounds like a plan. See y'all.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.